お元気ですか My brother 私あなたの味方ですカルビーカバイセン
遊び上手なやつにしゃぶられていると聞いた噂味覚糖純つゆ
ソフトいろいろもよろしく。
ロッテチョコレート20年の歴史が今ザ・キング・オブ・キングス。初めてチョコレートに生クリームを生かしたスペシャルエマルジョンプロセスだからちょっとお高いですがとにかく美味しいのです。ロッテザ・キング・オブ・キングス。
今年のお茶はどうかの。
おかげさまで
深い味わいじゃ。
風味豊かな抹茶のチョコレート。
このお茶はことによろしい。
ロッテことの四季
つぶつぶのパフがぎっしり詰まっております。サクッと軽い美味しさであります。
ロッテクランキーチョコ
オレンジジャムを抱き込んだスポンジケーキをチョコで包んだソフトチョコボール。この美味しさ、このボリューム、
大助かりの大得よ。
ロッテ大得よ。
ソフトチョコボール。
ミルクチョコレートもよろしく。コーン 100% 豊かな風味、美味しい歯触り、ボリュームたっぷり、100円。
木の葉はスナックの三冠王です。
ロッテのこの葉かじってみよう What's new What's new かじってみなきゃわからないかじってみようグリコアーモンドボール。ワーオホワイトチョコとチョコレートの美味しい重ね着。みんなでかじろうイエイIt's スナッキーアーモンドボールはグリコだ。
プチパイとってもプチな昼下がりどこかで誰かが見つめてる
チョコレートクリームとラズベリージャムのおしゃれな一口パイ。
年頃のお兄さんいる？いっぱいいる。一人でいいのよ。グリコプチパイ。箱を開けたら金のペンダント見つけた。
久しぶりの我が家。懐かしい顔が揃って一味違うファミリーデート。グリコチョコレートコロンの香ばしい美味しさがここでも大人気。フ
ァミリーデートしましょうね。
ね。
グリココロンとプリッツ米っ子。
やっぱりあなたも夏休み？
そうよ。
一口いかが？涼しさいっぱいグリコフロート。
おいしい。
グリコフロート
カメハメハ大王から一言。
カメカメほうグミグミほう
では
果汁たっぷり
グリコカリッポあげ君がいるからあげ僕がいるのか 僕には君が、君には僕が、分け合おう。グリコアーモンドチョコレート、セシルチョコレート。僕には君が、君には僕が、分け合おう。グリコアーモンドチョコレート、セシルチョコレート。
That's right. Subscribe and ring that bell. Sorry, prostate. Hey, share this thing out there because there's all kinds of people that don't know this happening. You're right. It is accelerated deconstruction, or XD as we like to call it. And today's title is Sometimes Lobotomy is the Only Solution. And of course, in his house with me tonight are the one and only Timothy Hun.
Hi, everybody.
And the captain of this vessel, Mr. Excel.
What's up, people? And actually, I love that you said sometimes lobotomy is the only solution. I actually just recently was replying to one of James Lindsay's tweets about transgender women getting uterus transplants. And my response was, I think we're going to look back at some of the measures we're using to treat gender dysphoria in the name of, critical gender studies. Especially when it comes to children, the same way we look back on the lobotomy, right? Like absolutely. The lobotomy, we thought we were solving so many problems.
It was cutting edge. You're right. Training. Absolutely.
It was cutting edge, and we were fixing people. And we look back and we're like, that was
alcoholics
the most
didn't drink
one
anymore.
Of the most inhumane treatment you could possibly give to people.
They were quiet and well behaved.
Everything. They were just like, it turned everybody into a fucking zombie.
Man,
schizophrenic,
that's a great analogy,
matter.
though. I totally agree with that, dude. I totally agree with that.
I look at it more like bloodletting. It's that archaic and barbaric to me. I think like a lobotomy, at least there was an attempt to try to rectify a real situation, where bloodletting was just kind of the universal oh, somebody's sick. Let's just take all their blood out and put leeches all over them.
Yeah, it is actually, that's probably true, right? Because at least with the lobotomy, like there was a set problem that they were trying to solve, and it was solving it. It's just they weren't thinking about all the other issues. With all the stuff we're doing for treating gender dysphoria, there's not there is a set problem, but it's not being set by science or people identifying actual issues. It's being set by these people from gender studies creating these assumptions, and then the science that follows is just trying to treat what gender studies says is the problem.
Yeah, because the problem that they're describing is so nebulous. There's no particular refinement because it no longer just covers gender as a dysphoria. It covers all of dysphoria and allowing everybody to mutilate themselves to create a perception of betterness.
Yeah. Just the fact that we're sitting here and we're talking about gender dysphoria as something that needs to be treated is enough to get us banned from Twitter and possibly piss Susan off too.
Well, if Elijah Schaefer can have a transgender person on talking about it, then I don't know why we can't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like apparently, because they reclassified it in the DS5 at the whims of gender studies people, right?
No, the DSM-5 still has transgender. It's still a dysphoria. It's no longer its own dysphoria, but it is still a dysphoria.
They've lightened the language though to make it seem like it's not something that.
Dude, the APA's totally woke, dude. It's
sick.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
It's sick. If you have somebody who has a malleable mind of any sort, an autistic person, which is what, 1 in 50 now or some shit, you're gonna fuck them up so bad with this critical psychology thing they're doing now. Oh, no. Scares me. Bigly. Sorry.
Yeah, this was like the intro to our show last week. It seems like we're parodying it, where we talked about the dad that. So I want to say he got jailed for misgendering his kid, but technically he was jailed for being in contempt of court because he was ordered by the court to stop misgendering his child and speaking out on the issue in public, which it's the same thing. like if people want to like bring up that technicality and say that what we said last week was false, bullshit, right? It's still just an excuse to jail people for not buying into this critical theory nonsense.
Oh, absolutely.
Not thinking that a 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl is capable of determining whether or not she is suffering from this dysphoria, and not trusting that these doctors that she's going to are starting on premises that are not based in science in order to come to the conclusion that the kid needs to be treated. In fact, the first bell that went off, and I found this out afterwards, reading through it, but the doctors that were questioned said, we have to treat them or else they might do something to hurt themselves. And I'm just thinking, like, what the holy shit? What the fuck? One of the best data points on gender dysphoria we have is it seems like with treatment or without treatment, all the treatments recommended, the likelihood of self-sabotage is the same.
Yes. Yes, and they keep, the transgender community keeps trying to claim that it's because there's not enough tolerance within society. The problem is, it's fucking dysphoria. Dysphoria is a delusionary problem. If you don't attack it head on, it's going to cause self-harm in everybody experiencing it. It's just like phobias. If you don't attack it head on, the person is going to be, like, basically, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Eviscerated by their own
for a couple
fear.
Minutes, okay?
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
It makes me fucking crazy. It's dangerous. It's really fucking dangerous, and it's. I don't even have the right words to describe. It's not destructive. It's when something erodes or decays, it's entropic.
I was going to say degenerate, but that might be too edgy of a term.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the clinical term, but I can't think of the right word right now. It's when deterioration. That's what it is. Deterioration. That's the word. I'm such a big girl. It creates a serious psychological deterioration within the person that if you don't look at it directly and you don't have them face it directly, it's like addiction. If you play into it, the person gets worse.
Yeah, and a lot of what happens is people selectively will cite that, like people like after transitioning that will talk about how much happier they are for a while.
Yeah, right? Just a few months usually.
Like it's something that, like, yes, immediately after, of course, it's not much different than people that are just like, I'm gonna go get a new tattoo and then get that new tattoo.
Compactor with all the lattice work on it.
It feels good, and they're showing it off, and they have something to talk about, and they feel better for a little while.
You go down,
or other things,
and you'll see the pool.
They're down,
and where the building on the inside of the pool.
They're just like, I'm gonna move someplace else, right? And they're just like, yeah, me getting out of my old situation, that was great. They didn't actually solve any of the underlying problems. So after a while of being in the new place, they fall into the same patterns that they were trying to get away from.
Yeah. And it's the same. It's because you're not actually addressing the problem. The problem isn't
second breezeway.
The problem isn't that they
don't like
the way they look. Or the problem is they don't like the way they look. The resolution to that isn't changing the way they look. It's retraining the brain to recognize the inappropriate negative thoughts and to overcome and control them.
Yeah, I've said a billion times when it comes to this issue specifically that what all this critical theory stuff is doing is stopping people that really want to help people that have, like, suffer from gender dysphoria from exploring avenues that aren't what they call gender conformity surgery now, right? They used to say gender reassignment surgery. They're just they're what I'm saying is they're stopping people from, like, finding other avenues And like, God, like I'm just thinking about it, and I was like, wouldn't the best thing to do is to get them comfortable with their own body, and then if they want to dress up feminine, wear makeup, things like that, allow them to do so without causing permanent damage to their body. I just don't get it. And one of the things I wanted to bring up, this shit's affecting the military now too. I think just in the last week, Tucker Carlson was talking about how the military has gone full woke. They have this weird diversity something plan. I had the article up.
I saw that.
Yeah, I posted an article about it, but hold on, I'm gonna bring it up. We're not gonna go through the whole article. We don't really need to. Diversity and inclusion strategic plan. And then whenever you ask any of the generals, like, so how is this actually gonna help make America safer? They don't have an answer for it. It's just something that they're pushing on the military. Hardcore now that Biden is in office, right? They've got carte blanche to do this. And I was listening to the Dick Show, and somebody that's part of the Army infantry called in and was talking about the nonsense that they were teaching people. And he actually said they've gone as far, like, to every unit. They actually have an EO, which stands for Equality Officer.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Like, so every Army unit has an equality officer and they do things like do investigations and reviews into people. And like, if they for some reason get out of line, maybe they say a racial slur. Like, remember, people, these are the people we're training to go to other countries to kill motherfuckers, right? That is what they do. Everybody knows that when you go into the military, you get brainwashed into becoming a fucking killer. Because you have to.
Heinlein has got to be spinning in his fucking grave right now. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Carl and I have been talking about Starship Troopers a lot lately. The book, not the movie.
So the story of interest that I thought was most hilarious from this call into the Dick Show is that this one dude got caught, like, just doing a bunch of heroin, right? He was a heroin addict. And when he got caught, he went to the EO, right, the equity officer, and said, well, the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm Jewish and I'm trying to deal with all the anti-Semitism from our unit, which was most likely complete bullshit. But guess what? We are in the realm of, like, critical theory bullshit. So, of course, they took that seriously. They launched a full-scale investigation into the rest of the unit about why they were making fun of this person for being Jewish, rather than just kicking the guy out for being a heroin addict. And like, the guy that was called, it was just like, of course he's gonna say it's not his fault. He's a fucking heroin addict. He would throw anybody under the fucking bus.
Yeah, I should have been chaptered. Should have been fucking chaptered. What the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck is that? Oh my God, my head's gonna pop now. I thought the motivational videos were bad enough.
Some of the other, like, cool stuff that they're doing, or amazing stuff they're doing is
very smart people.
For infantry, they're doing rather than saying that they're gonna lack standards because women can't actually compete with men because they can't admit that, they're calling it gender neutral physical requirements. Right? And what they did is they moved the physical requirement that almost like 90% of women can't meet, which is like things like the 13-minute 2-mile run, right? That is not even a high number, right? 13 minutes to run 2 miles. That is
high school.
Yeah, that's high school, right? I used to be able to do that when I was 25, like. And it was, it was kind of hard for me, but I could do it. They changed it to 19-minute 2-minute mile. That is insane. That is so, like, per mile, that is less than what we were required to do for, like, your health fitness in elementary school, right? Most people can walk a mile in 15 minutes, right?
I'm more shocked that they've replaced push-ups with planks.
I am actually completely fine, Pol Pot, with the idea that 50% of men can't meet that either. They shouldn't be out on the fucking battlefield like trying to kill other motherfuckers, right? Like, if you're gonna be doing that, you need to be in top-notch shape.
You know, we used to call those Jerry's kids, right?
You're gonna get other people killed. And I don't even like most of the shit that our American military does, right? I don't like our foreign policy, but I can separate our foreign policy from the fact that if we're gonna have an army, I want our army to be good at what it does.
Well, we used to call those Jerry's kids. The people that couldn't cut it in boot camp and couldn't pass PT. They called them Jerry's kids because you had to, like, it's Jerry Lewis, the comedian. He had the March for Dimes stuff he did for the mentally retarded kids. We used to call them Jerry's kids when they flunked out like that. And, they replaced push-ups with planks, though. Push-ups with planks. How the fuck are you supposed to hold that large machine gun and fire it if you're doing planks instead of fucking push-ups? Somebody tell me that. Explain that to me. Sorry.
I cannot.
I'm sorry.
I just think it's ridiculous. Like, out of all this place that this critical theory nonsense is gonna seep its way into, the military is the last place where I think it should be getting into. And I'm thinking about just let's do a thought.
Oh, come on, man! China wants this shit more than anything.
But do you think the old school generals and stuff really actually want this? No. Why are they playing around? Why are they
China is doing the exact opposite of this.
Yeah, I know. They're pushing masculinity on their men right
exactly.
now.
Yeah. So,
and they're trying to.
What's good for China is good for my military too. Fuck China.
Yeah, but they're also trying to reinstate the nuclear family in China too, because they realize they have a population problem.
Oh.
I'm gonna go back to my question though, that I think is pertinent. Is why would all the old school generals in the military just be going along with this stuff instead of opposing it?
It's easier, and you get to keep your job. Have you seen what these people do when you oppose them?
Exactly. Like, you just you hit the bullseye, Timma. The thing is that these bureaucrats are just going to call you a fucking racist and smear you if you don't go along with it.
They've been given way too much power. Way too much power. It's one of the few things Lindsey Graham has said that I agree with is, God help us if y'all are given the power you want so badly. And look what's happening. In less than 90 days, they have fucked the entire country and the military. It's kind of fucking incredible. I'm wondering what they're going to do with all the veterans that haven't been taught the critical theory military way. You aren't going to be able to stop them. You can try to grab all the guns you want. You just don't have enough law enforcement officers with enough bullets to stop this. You cannot stop this.
Most of them are veterans now.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, half of Uzi's family, cousin-wise and shit. They're all cops and former military. So, yeah, good luck, fam.
Yeah.
Come and take them. I dare you, because it'll be the cops that'll bow up first.
Every male for the last 4 generations in my family has done military service of some sort.
Right.
4 generations of men, and only 2 of them are Democrats. Only 2. So, there's not a lot of. I don't think they're going to find the compliance they think they're going to get within the cities. They're going to be very, very shocked when they try to pull this shit in smaller towns and mid-sized cities. They're going to be very shocked when they go after states like Alabama or Texas or Florida or South Carolina or Tennessee. They're going to be in for a very big shock when they try to push these ideas and they just get
I'm really, really hoping this is going to be a lot like the intelligent design movement, right? Where they were basically trying to teach creationism in the classroom. What happened when that was going on is the activists that were for intelligent design, They all got, because activists show up. I've said that a billion times. Activists show up, right? So they are easily able to make change, at least in the first wave. But when people start seeing the results, what ended up happening is, without even, like, the courts eventually ruled that this intelligent design stuff really was teaching religion in schools. But the courts actually didn't have to get involved. What happened is, your normal people were seeing the effects of these intelligent design books being taught in their schools. They started hearing about it. It started getting reactionary press, and they started running for school board positions, and they got that shit removed. I'm really hoping that's what we see with critical theory in schools.
Intelligent design hasn't been removed, it's been moved. They took it from the science courses and they put it into the civics courses.
That's fine. I'm okay with you talking about it in a civics context.
Okay. I was just letting you know.
So are we ready to move into the video room?
Well, I do. Yeah, I want to go to that video, but I do real quick want to make a special note. TK Mouse sent me a link that is very. It is certainly something that we could cover, but it's just the same story again with a different school district. He sent me a link talking about how one of North Carolina's biggest districts is now launching a campaign against whiteness in educational spaces. And he's not the only person that has messaged me this stuff about critical nonsense being forced on K through 12 school systems. So with this video, it's bad enough that it's part of the university system. Like, there's so much more we could cover with just what's going on with K through 12 school systems, but it's all not much different than this redheaded bitch in the upper left.
Funny how when we covered that material, it was claimed, you know, we got copyright.
Sony.
Yeah, it was Sony, man. Yeah, and they're claiming my voice and your voice, Tatema, from last night.
My voice?
Yes, your voice, my voice, and somebody else.
Janis Joplin died. Janis Joplin died the year after I was born.
What it is, man. No, here's the deal. They delay the video 7 days. That's what it is. It's literally just a delay because Sony always drops it. And I pointed that out in my dispute. I said, Sony always fucking drops this shit. And you know, and I do it in all caps just to, you know, show I'm an old man who's pissed. So, just saying. We're fully aware.
Hold of somebody, I would like to talk to somebody.
Oh, dude, they don't give
a right to copyright my fucking voice.
Dude, start
wish
tracking.
I had money.
Start tracking. Like, I'm for real. Start tracking and screen capping that stuff. I will put some of my own fucking bank down to go after Sony if they're just giving you all these basically false DMCA requests, right?
30 seconds.
I will message Lawful Masses, which he specializes in that shit, and just being like, this keeps going on. What can we do? I've got some money, not a lot, but at least enough to get started. No, like, fuck them. Let's sue them and get some money back.
Fuck yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
That's my voice. It comes from my body, and I am not a part of Sony in any way, shape, or form.
I'm with you, man. You know. Anyway.
My body, my choice. God damn it.
That's right.
Let's go on to the video.
You want to go to the video now? Shall we? Video clip. Yes, the video.
So for people that weren't here last week, we're picking up on a video. It's a Zoom call that Carlin Poroshenko is commenting on. We could comment on the Zoom call itself.
It's a webinar, really. It's a webinar.
Yeah. She's the only person that recorded it. So we get to get her takes, and we also get to hear what they're saying about what's going on at the University of New Hampshire.
The name of this course is How to Feel Shitty for Being a White Person. And
only if you're a rich, ignorant white person that's only lived in white suburbs, though. I mean, this woman is completely fucking retarded. If memory serves.
No shit. No, no. It's it's like I bet she's never even eaten a pork chop in her life. Just saying.
Especially not fried.
Exactly, and not the way that I like it.
Yeah, breaded.
Y'all ready? Yes, ma'am. Bread that
Shake
shit.
and bake that, bitch.
Put some gravy on that.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
Some of Mama's white gravy. Yum balls. Just saying. Anywho, all right, let's keep rolling. Let's get rolling with Carlin. All right, so I backed it up just about 3 minutes, so we'll get our footing, and here we go.
I'm gonna mess up in saying this, but just acknowledge the moment we're in, and acknowledge that for many of you on this webinar, the idea of anti-racism might be a very new idea for you. The idea of what engaging in anti-racist work may be very new for you. And I want to acknowledge that this might be a painful moment. You might have woken up 45 days ago after the murder of George Floyd, and all of a sudden realize that not only racism is alive and well in this country, but actually you as a white person are complicit in it in ways that you may not have ever.
So this is the part where they're priming you to be more receptive. This is a little trick that trainers use, like, what we talk about today may be uncomfortable. You may feel uncomfortable hearing this information, and that's when you need to tell yourself to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I know that because I use that trick in my training, but when I use it, I'm not trying to brainwash people into a fundamentally racist ideology. I'm getting them to try to communicate with people they disagree with. It is a fundamentally different thing, but it's a trick nonetheless to get people to, when they're getting used to a new idea, to let the idea marinate a little bit more. And you can use the trick for good, you can use the trick for evil. She's using it for fundamentally evil purposes.
Or even conceptualized. That's painful, right? It's painful to be engaged in this work and be looking back over your life and just thinking, oh my God, how much harm have I done? And going through the process right now of reckoning with your white privilege, the shame and the guilt and the anger and the sadness that come out of that, it's a lot. And you might be feeling whiplash, the feeling that you're not doing enough towards anti-racist work. You're doing too much. You are so burned out from watching podcasts and webinars and listening to
She's gonna cry. She's gonna cry. She's gonna cry before the end of this webinar, mark my words.
Presentations that you don't know where to turn. And these feelings are completely valid. And I really want to say that.
God.
They are normal. They are a part of waking up to systems of oppression and racism. And it's a sign that you're dialed in. Unfortunately,
What is, oh God, what is the name of the term where, like, the syndrome where people who are kidnapped start to identify with their kidnappers? What is that term? Syndrome. This is what these people are priming you for.
Good old Stockholm.
Fortunately, these feelings are a reality of anti-racist work, of being an anti-racist. Discomfort and
Stockholm syndrome. Thank you. I knew it started with an S. I couldn't. It was like right on the tip of my tongue.
You're welcome.
Shame and guilt, and the push and pull between I'm not doing enough and I'm doing too much. Very, very, very much a part of this work. So these feelings are probably going to be your reality for a while. They're a sign that you're waking up, and it's uncomfortable, and it's probably never going to go back to normal.
Negative feelings of guilt and anxiety are not a sign that you're waking up and becoming conscious of your inherent racism. They're a sign. They're your body telling you that something is wrong. Most of the time when we feel uncomfortable with something, it is because our body is telling us that it does not pass the sniff test, that it is wrong. And what these people are trying to get you to do, yes, exactly. This is cult grooming language. That is exactly what this is. They're trying to groom you to get you to join their little anti-racist cult. And you notice she does this at the beginning of the web. Guys, we are 20 minutes into this and she hasn't even started the the webinar yet. She hasn't even started the education portion of the webinar, because what they do is they need to prime you for it, because they know that if you don't know anything going into this, that the stuff that they're going to talk about is going to make you feel uncomfortable. And so they have to do all of these different qualifications before we ever get started. What she's doing right now is she's meeting objections before she's trying to answer to objections before she even gets into the education portion of the webinar, so that when she gets into it and people are like, that doesn't make sense, that sounds kind of racist, she can go, remember what I said at the beginning. Remember, I told you this was going to make you feel uncomfortable, and it was going to be a lifelong process of you doing the work and educating yourself to get over those feelings of discomfort, and you might never get over those feelings of discomfort. There are reasons that you feel uncomfortable, and it has nothing to do with you grappling with your inherent racism.
Which is hard, right? Because we want these feelings to go away. I want to stop feeling angry. I want to stop crying, because the moment we're in right now, this racial uprising feels so painful. It feels so long coming. As a scholar of history, as someone who uses the historical lens to describe the moment we're in, it is so long coming, but it makes it no less painful.
Yeah, those rape fantasies are really, really terrifying.
Dude, if you're crying all day, every day because of your inherent racism, there is a larger problem.
Okay.
But these feelings aren't going to go away.
There's a big problem here. Is anybody else noticing that I don't know how many of you have had a run-in with the International Church of Christ. They're not as okay. They're crazier than Jehovah's Witnesses, but they're not as crazy as Heaven's Gate. There's not like a suicide pact everybody signs, and that's about the only difference, really. But the way the priming is going, the way she's talking about how you have to live with all this pain and stuff like that, this is almost exactly like the de-radicalization I've had to work through some of my friends with after they've been exposed to the International Church of Christ.
Yeah,
and Carl's had to deal with it too.
It definitely has this theme of original sin, which is, we've actually talked about this before, about how wokeness is very similar to a cult, and it even has the same stages as a cult, right?
But this is like almost verbatim the type
Absolutely.
of guilt language that the International Church of Christ uses. This is almost verbatim what the ICOC does, like guilt-wise, and how you live with this guilt. And for them, it's sin, like just the concept of being a sinner, and they use that in the same way these people are using whiteness. The language is almost the exact same. I mean, it's damn near verbatim, and that should concern everybody. Sorry, carry on.
No, I completely agree, and that's why there's actually been several articles that we have talked about on the stream comparing wokeness to a religion, right? And it's less to talk shit about religion, but more to understand that this is all based on kind of like unfounded assumptions, right? And it has very like classical religious themes of like self-flagellation, because you are a sinner,
right? You must punish yourself. The whole proselytization. I mean, what is it called? Kneeling down in front of people, prostrating yourself.
Yes.
You know, and kissing the feet last year, and the public apologies, and almost like laying of hands and shit that went on. It was really, really disturbing to see that, because this is obviously has a religious, like a toxic, cult-like component to it, which is, I mean, is pretty much the whole thing. And it you know, they're all deadly. This is deadly thinking, man. Because it's the kind of thinking that ends up pointing fingers and saying, if they don't comply, well, they must be eradicated. And see, and my brain wants to do and say the same thing.
With them? Like they need to be eradicated? Well, I view them as a
I mean, sometimes you got to cut the cancer out all the way to the root.
They're a full-blown sickness.
Exactly. So
this is a mental sickness, and this is a projection of mental sickness onto other people, and it needs to be called for what it is.
it's mental illness. You're absolutely correct. And maybe maybe a lobotomy is the cure. Anyway.
Right? There's that old adage, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. So the question, therefore, is how to be an anti-racist sustainably.
It's all that 60s horse shit just dug right back up. Fighting for peace is like fucking for virginity. Okay, we get it.
We're in a movement right now, not a moment.
A bowel movement.
And I think we're in a moment that is becoming a movement. But if the movement is going to continue, it is dependent on the sustained anti-racist endeavors of white people.
Yes, it is on this point, we agree. It is white people that will continue to drive the anti-racist movement. On this, we absolutely agree. It is white saviors like this person who will continue to drive the anti-racist movement. And guess what, guys? They're going to make a boat ton of money doing it. They're going to cash in every single time they do one of these trainings. I wonder how much she got paid for this training. I should try to get those records from UNH, because I think I can do that. They're a public institution.
Mm-hmm. Which means that we, as white anti-racists, have to find a balance amidst all these feelings. Because if we burn out, we're no good.
I mean, maybe best case scenario is that all of the anti-racist white saviors do burn themselves out. Maybe that is actually our best case scenario. They break themselves in the process, and they have to go into anti-racist rehab and like some sort of beach resort where they just sit around all day talking about their inherent racism, but they don't bother us anymore. That might be like actually the best case scenario.
That's right. Yeah, give them their own fucking country.
Take on this to a level where we can't sustain the work we're doing.
Yeah. So what they were just talking about is something that a lot of the times, whenever you explain to, I guess, normies about what anti-racism actually is, they don't understand it. So this person has actually said that I have to reflect on the fact that as a white person, I am racist, and I have to constantly be aware of that and point out anti-racism where it exists. Like, I have to be an anti-racist, not just not a racist. And I think a lot of people, they don't understand that that's like legitimately the core of this ideology. Like, if you're white, you're fucking racist, and you can't get around it.
Right.
You can't get away from it. Even this person that is talking, right? She's supposed to be the anti-racist, but at the same time, she's also racist.
That's right. It's the mark of Cain.
White.
Yes.
Racism is the mark of Cain.
Yeah, like, even if it was true, like, even if there was a way to, like, logically get yourself into this position where you're like, oh, well, this is true, it's certainly not practical. It's not a way forward. It's not going to create this more equitable society that you think it's going to create. In fact, it makes me understand how the white nationalist movement is recruiting people, because for every 9 people that just buy into this bullshit, there's one person that's looking for someplace else to go. And the other place to go is here. Well, actually, we'll say 8 people, right? So one of the people are going to come here and be like, yeah, we're going to reclaim liberalism and call this out on bullshit. And then there's the other people that are just kids that grew around this line of thinking. They're going to turn it upside down, and they're going to become Richard Spencers of the world.
It's already happening.
Like, everything about this ideology just creates more racism. It is inherently racism in and of itself, and then it also creates more classical racism.
You ready?
Oh,
that's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and
I've been really challenged by this, to be quite frank. I mean, I've been studying kind of systems of white supremacy for a very long time, and I woke up 45 days ago, and all of a sudden I have found myself engaged in this work to a level that I never anticipated.
Wait. Did she just say that it took the death of a black man to get her really engaged with work that she had been doing for years? I think she did.
She did. And I go to sleep at night thinking about...
She's busted. Right. Carlin made a great point there.
Racism. And I wake up in the morning thinking about racism, and it's a lot. And I don't have the answer.
She's almost crying. We're almost there. It's only 20 minutes into the webinar.
I don't, and I wish I did, but I haven't figured it out. I simply say that to say that that tension is something that we have to learn to live with, and we have to learn how to be engaged in this work in the way that we need to be, but we also have to know how to take breaks from that work and step back so we can come back to the work renewed.
If you take breaks from the work, you are a racist. That is a racist action to take a break. What are you talking about? Guys, if you feel like a break, hit that thumbs up button, please. Thank you. Thumbs up. Smash that like
y'all.
There is no way. I'll throw myself.
I was just making fun of the whole excuse for self-care is to get past your racism, guys. So, you know, wasting your money on shit you don't need for purely selfish and irrational reasons that just further entrench us into a fucked up fiat economic system.
Yep.
You can justify that. Yeah.
Because only white people care about stuff like that.
Cadillacs.
Yep.
20 foes on your Cadillac.
Yeah.
Get it right.
That video from like the BLM protests where they're just like, I'm gonna give myself some new Nikes. Yeah. That was they weren't just looting to get
reparations. Goddammit. Get it right, man. It wasn't looting; it was reparations. Insanity. Yes. One-eyed man is king. Oh yeah.
Fuck me. The emperor really doesn't have any clothes on, guys.
Buck fucking naked, man. Buck ass.
Really,
naked.
really. There's no clothes there. That's an innie, not an outie now.
That's right.
Help out on this.
Sorry.
There is no way I am going to be able to keep up the pace that I've been at for the past 45 days. There is no way. I just can't. I cannot live the rest of my life only listening to sources about racism and talking about it with my family members.
Dude. As someone who has done my fair share of corporate training, let me give you a little advice. Your preamble to the training that you're doing should not include, I just can't do this work any longer, it's killing me. That is not something your audience needs to know. Your audience doesn't need to know that you're burning yourself out. Your audience doesn't need to know how crazy you are. That is not helpful to teaching them anything. I mean, I'm thankful she's doing it because she's laying her cards on the table like an idiot right up front. But, like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I never went into a training and was like, let me tell you, this training, it just takes a lot out of me. It takes everything I have to get up and do. And by the way, like, anytime you're doing corporate training, you're making a lot of money. Like, if you're doing your job well, you're making, like, a lot of money. And so to go in and be like, this is just taking everything I have. I can't do it anymore while you're paying me thousands of dollars to do this. Cry yourself to sleep.
On your pile of money.
All right. Have you reached out to Carlin yet to see if she will come on for, like, a special ice cream interview?
I asked her for her OnlyFans.
That was about it.
I was kidding. I'm kidding. I've tried, man. You know, hit her on the DM. That was a good joke. You want to try? Yeah, man. I love her. And she's
I'll
cool.
try.
She's
I'll try.
A, she's
I'll
based.
try right
B,
now.
she's cool, and she's like looking like, you know, she's just, she won't take it. She's like, this is bullshit. You're full of shit, you know, and she'll get up in your face and tell you that. I appreciate that, man. That's some honesty, and you know, helping people. That, man, you know, when you're sane in an insane world, you need validation occasionally. You know,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying there.
Yeah. I fully understand. As a rational person that has to have irrational responses to the people around me, this is a very frustrating place to live.
Indeed. Did Excel go to the bathroom?
I don't know. I think he muted to laugh and choke at what.
Oh yeah, I just muted because I was typing and laughing at the same time.
Did you ask her for OnlyFans?
Yeah, I'm gonna message Carlin and be like, "Yo, you got an OnlyFans?"
Oh man, stop it. Okay, you're ready to roll?
Okay.
I'll shut up, y'all. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
Over a martini later after the training. You don't do that in the preamble.
And talking to my friends about it, I have to know how to take a break. And so, again, I don't have answers to how to manage this tension, but I want to acknowledge that the tension exists, and it's something that we all have to kind of sit in. At the same time, we can acknowledge the enormous privilege of being able to step back from anti-racist engagement.
Oh my God! What she's saying, what she's about to say, is that we, as white people, have the privilege of stepping away from this work. We have the privilege of taking a break, whereas people of color do not have that privilege. They can never step away from racism.
Engagement from anti-racist work, right? You know, I saw a post recently that just said simply how privileged it is to get to study racism.
So, like, racism is the Hotel California of ideology.
Oh, no matter, you stab it with your steely knives and you just can't kill the beast.
Yeah, or you can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. I hope so.
Oh,
cancer,
God.
cancer, cancer. I'm rolling.
As opposed to experiencing it. And that's real, right? And I think that something that is kind of inherent in anti-racist work is that two things that are opposing can be true at the same time. They can be in dialectics.
No, they cannot.
And I don't have an answer to that. Like, we can simultaneously recognize the need for us to do anti-racist work sustainably while also acknowledging the extreme privilege of us being able to make that choice.
No,
I'm listening, says anyone who goes to sleep and wakes up with racism on their mind is simply assuaging their own guilty conscience.
Well,
That is correct.
She's
I
mentally
agree.
ill, y'all.
But I did just want to take a little moment to acknowledge that and to acknowledge all of your feelings.
Your little moment has gone on for 22 minutes and 30 seconds.
And what I'm going to do, hopefully, is talk a little bit more about what sustainable anti-racist work looks like.
And
so what is
myself.
anti-racism? I've said this term, I've thrown it around. I mean, if you had a bingo card, you'd probably...
She calls for a bingo card. We need a bingo card. Dude, I will pay someone. If you develop a really cool bingo card, I will give you a prize. I will make some sort of, I don't know how much, but like, I will definitely give you a prize of some sort.
Have one about 10 minutes ago.
Do you think she ripped that off from Streamlabs
No.
and company? I know.
No.
Well, you know, sometimes that happens. Bigger YouTubers will, you know, they'll see something and scarf it up. Yeah. But yeah, she's right, man. Maybe we ought to come up with some kind of scorecard. We're going to be looking at more shit like this. Excel?
Oh, God.
What do you
Okay.
think, man? Excel?
I'll try to make one.
I was too busy asking Carlin for her OnlyFans.
Jesus, you too.
No, I literally did.
Why did you ask her for her OnlyFans?
To get attention. Man, hey, you know what? That might get her attention. Chicks love a man that can make them laugh. I'm telling you.
What is anti-racism? So anti-racism is in direct opposition to racism.
Everybody say hey to my special person, Jeff, out there in the chat.
Jeff.
Greetings, good sir. Much love and salute.
Basically, essentially, the premise is you can't be not racist in this society.
You cannot be not racist. When they say systemic racism, what they mean, guys, is racism exists everywhere. It exists everywhere in every person, in every institution. And our job as critical theorists, which is where critical race theory comes from, is to be critical over every single thing in every institution, every interaction, and to suss out the racism. The question is not if racism exists. The question is, how did racism manifest itself in this situation?
You either have a racist worldview, and whether or not you're aware of it, you are living out your life enacting covert or overt acts of racism. You're doing harm, whether or not you're aware of it, or you are actively anti-racist.
You are either doing harm to people of color or you are being actively anti-racist. But even if you're actively anti-racist like this white savior lady, you are still a lifelong racist because you are white. You're racist either way. You're racist either way.
Right.
You might as well not like buy into a soul-sucking ideology. If you're going to be racist either way, what does it matter?
So
Do you think that she spent the night with Robin DiAngelo or something? I mean, because that's literally that kind of mindset, man.
Yeah, it's the same shit, right?
It's
Where
insane,
Robin DiAngelo
man.
writes an entire book on why you're white and you're racist. And she like has all these anecdotal stories that don't apply to me at all. I'm sorry. Grew up in like kind of a poor suburb. There were always black people around. Like I never had the thoughts that Robin DiAngelo had.
All right, so did you see on Twitter today? Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let me see something real quick. If my thing happened here. On the Twitter. Oh, it booted. Okay. Let's see. So, all right. So, Randy Monkey had put up a thing. Let's see if I can find it this way. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to find. It's Scarborough, and talking about apartheid, Georgia, equating because of the law they passed yesterday, requiring voter ID.
Yeah, voter ID is essentially Jim Crow law.
It's apartheid, according to this guy, right? And
Stacey Abrams said it was literally Jim Crow law.
Yeah, the most fucked up thing about that is like every other Western country in the world requires actual identification in order to vote, right?
African countries require identification to vote.
All of them. Like we're the only country that does not require your state-issued ID.
Yeah, it's Keith Olbermann
in order to vote. And the hilarious part about that is the reason, like where that stemmed from, and why we were at the point where we don't require state identification to vote, is actually from a patriot movement that was anti-government. That is just like we should not be requiring citizens to have these state-issued IDs because we're Americans and Americans are too good for the government to require us to prove these things in order to vote.
Yeah,
like it's an ironic circle because that's really where it started, right? Mm-hmm. It started with the same people that are like were MAGA, just being like fuck the government for trying to make me have a government-issued ID in order to vote.
Well, I don't care about it to vote. I care about trying to create a federalized ID program to fly. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you have to like kind of prove that you're an American citizen in some way in order to vote is not very radical.
No, you don't even need the special fucking ID to vote. You just have to have an ID. It doesn't have to be the special expensive one that costs you more that they put into fucking action in 2018 that if you don't have it, you can't fly. Never mind 2019, sorry, not 2018. Never mind that.
Real ID.
Yeah, the Real ID program. And never mind any of that. It's racist to say you have to wait. What? It's not racist to make people get the Real ID program to fly, but it is racist to have a non-real ID that you can get for free from every state government across the board. They're free. If you're just getting an ID, it's free. If you can say, hey, all you have to do, you don't even have to prove it. You just have to say, I'm poor. Please let me have this for free. Like 90% of the states, you don't even have to have an income verification to get the state ID for free. So I don't understand how the cognitive dissonance with these people makes me fucking crazy because you have to have a specialized identification to get on an airplane.
I mean, shouldn't it be just your social security number?
No, it should just be an ID number because your social security number is not legally supposed to be ID, even according to the federal government. Everybody's violating it. So they need to come up with something else that doesn't have a loophole in it.
All right, Fat Andy donates $2. Here's $2. I love your streams. Please take Stephen Colbert's face off the 1984 Inksock screen. I hate that punk bitch. Ha 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 ha!
I hate that punk bitch too.
And apparently I missed that dono earlier, so sorry about that, dude. I caught it now. All right, you keep rolling. We're having too much fun.
Angela Davis says, in a racist society, which we are in, it is not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist. And so for many of you...
Do you guys notice how they present...
There's no such thing as
they present this as just...
What I said?
No, I just said there's no such thing as not racist in these people's minds. You
Right.
either a racist or an anti-racist.
Or you're just is a little less racist than you used to
And
be.
actually, if you are an anti-racist, but you're white, you're still racist, but at
Exactly.
least you're an anti-racist too.
You're just a little less
be.
racist than you were. A little more
Yeah,
racist.
the only way to not be racist anymore is to make sure that you eradicate whiteness by having kids with non-white people. But it's also internalized sex slave ownership.
Well, all right,
to
Tim, I got a question for you. Okay. When all right, so when the LinkedIn questionnaire thing that Coca-Cola was using was said, tell people to be less white. I mean, what does that mean? Am I supposed to like start acting like a stereotype of somebody that of color? Do you know what I mean, man?
I don't.
Hey, man, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You know, I mean, it's like, is that what they expect of me? Do they want me to actually go blackface? Would that actually at some point become the right thing to do?
I think you're only allowed to pretend you're Asian.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So it's a
For
thank you
clearing
so
that
much.
up.
You buy my poo poo. I am number 4. You buy my poo poo. Yeah.
Well, actually, you made an amazing observation. Irate, if you go around in Alabama in blackface trying to look black to erase your whiteness, is it really racist that you're using blackface?
That's my point, dude.
How will the critical theorists deal with you if you do that?
Oh my God.
I don't know if they can. You might break the entire thing. In fact, you should try that experiment.
No, I really should not. Don't.
That's right. Just put a big target on me and put me in the on the west side, man. Just walk around, say, "Hey, what up, people?" You know, you got a square.
Yeah, but think about it. Think about it. Think about what you could do for the woke movement and be like, I'm a white man and I wanted to understand what it's like to be treated like a black person, which is why I put on the blackface.
Well, all right. So, have you ever seen that movie? There's an old movie, man, and I think I saw it for free somewhere. It's called Watermelon Man, and it's about a white guy that wakes up black. It's from like the late '60s, maybe early mid '70s.
Dude, wait, hold on. I kind of
it's something. The guy's name's Godfrey something. That he was a black
comedian. Hold on? Is it one of those things where like at first he had like part of his body was all black and part of it was all white?
No. It's just like this dude's like a racist, and you know he's very prejudiced. He's not a racist. I would say he was prejudiced, right? And it's almost like because of that, you know, he wakes up one morning and he's black, and everybody starts treating him like shit. And it's like a dark comedy, you know. It's a really good movie.
I remember a movie with John Travolta where he wakes up in an alternate reality where white people are the minority.
I've never
and they
seen
get
that.
treated the way black people do. I cannot remember the name of the movie, and I don't remember watching all of it. But I do remember watching part of it and going, I've never known black people to be treated like this. What are they talking about? And it could have to do with the fact that I didn't grow up in the 70s. I don't know. But it's a movie John Travolta made. I want to say it was John Travolta. Maybe Carl can remember. I think we've talked about it before.
Yeah, it was directed by Mario Van Peebles and stars Godfrey Cambridge, Estelle Parsons, Howard Kane, and others. Okay.
Black Like Me, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Black Like Me.
That's actually a book. The Invisible Man. But yeah, the Watermelon Man is a very interesting movie. So I highly recommend. And you know, Van Peebles is like is like the Black Roger Corman. He put together so many movies. Anyway, sorry about that.
Really, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, my ADD teamed up with my obsessive wealth of knowledge of nothing.
So I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that movie.
Okay.
And I'm gonna guess that that movie is actually espousing principles of universal humanity, colorblind racism, right? Like all the things that critical theory is reversing.
Introducing New Degree Body Wash, made with Epsom salt and electrolytes.
It's White Man's Burden.
Designed to reset
I think it's the name of the movie I'm talking about.
Oh, hold on. I think people can hear that.
Try New Degree Maximum Recovery.
Huh? Okay. I was saying.
Damn it.
Uh-oh.
No, it's all right.
What happened at Ray?
Boomer.
Boomer.
Yeah.
Boom. We gotta stop saying Boomer and start saying Boom Howard.
Yeah, Boom Howard. Hold on
Yeah.
a second, man. If I can get this thing. It's on Daily Motion, so I can't grab it. Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway. I know I saw a trailer from the movie.
Let's just go on with the video.
You ready?
Carlin here.
Yeah.
I did message her for her OnlyFans, and she's not responding to me, and I just feel slighted.
Well,
I know she's a big deal, and I'm not, but I mean, come on.
Narcissism.
It's fact, like we are in a racist society. Fact. That's not a fact. That's not true.
Thank you.
That means that you are realizing that maybe some of the old adages that you have been clinging to as a sign that you are a good person are not.
Yeah, actually, Effie says, and this is a really good point. Notice her blinking away the lies. It's a common tell. Guys, if you want to know when someone's lying, look for the blinks, because the blinks will often be an indication that they're not telling the truth and that they know they're not telling the truth. Alexander DeJohn says, my ears are bleeding. I've dealt with this topic, a lot of this topic today. I actually emailed you on the site about that today. I'm so over it. Alexander, I knew I recognized your name when I got that email. I was like, where do I know this name from? Now I know. I did get your email. I did see it. Thank you for that.
Enough. These kind of adages, I don't see color. I was raised to treat everyone fairly. Everyone has an equal opportunity in this country. You are realizing that not only are those false,
holy shit,
but they are a sign that you are not doing enough work.
No, it is not actually false that I was raised to treat everyone the same. That is not false. And it is also not a sign that I'm not doing enough anti-racist work. I fundamentally do not buy into the premise. And this is what you have to do. Every time these people say something crazy, because they just do this over and over again, they make statements as though it's fact. Like, just because you were told to treat people equally growing up doesn't mean that you're an anti-racist. Like, you have to call them out and say, no, like, I don't need to do your stupid made-up fringe ideology.
She's totally right.
To quote another very famous anti-racist,
they aren't the room.
If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor.
Good. Then I'm an oppressor. Fuck you, bitch. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was laughing out loud because, like, she just said, here's all the things you can do to treat people as an individual instead of looking at their race. And that's not enough. Can't do that. Can't treat people as an individual. You must take their race into account and make your judgments occasionally, or else you're not a good anti-racist. Which makes me be like, well, being an anti-racist is kind of the same as being an anti-fascist, which is it's not anti-racist or anti-fascist at all in the plain understanding of the English language. It is actually very fascist and very racist to look at the world the way this bitch does.
Yep.
She's no different than
anti-racism.
Gemma?
I was just gonna say she's no different than fucking Robin DiAngelo talking about snatching her purse up close to her chest whenever she sees a black man in the elevator with her. There's fucking no difference between the two, and they're both crazy. They both need to be put in. Make asylums great again. Make asylums great again. We have a new MAGA. make asylums great again. Please.
Is
make asylums
actively
great
combating
again.
my own race.
I don't think any of us are neutral to injustice. We just don't buy into your crazy ideology. There is a difference between those two things.
Racist worldview, as well as other racist acts to uplift people who are oppressed. So how does one actually
that's special
become
treatment
anti-racist
You're
or dive
telling us
into
to
this
give
work?
special treatment.
Especially if, again, you woke up 45 days ago and realized how much you had to learn and that you needed to do better. How does one become an anti-racist? How does one do that work?
Hold on. I got a good answer. Every day I need to reflect in the mirror and see my whiteness and how much me just existing as being a white person is oppressing other people of color.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole idea of carbon offsets. It's like, just pay a tax for being white.
Look,
a reparation tax.
Well, I don't know what this bitch is about to say, but I guarantee what I just talked about with me addressing my whiteness every day is not going to be too far from where she goes with this.
That's right. I haven't seen the whole thing either. I've seen a little over half of it. So.
Oh God. I don't know how you guys have done this.
So, forgive me if this is trite, but I really like mnemonics and things like that. So I came up at 5:45 in the morning when I was lying awake thinking about racism. I came up with the 4 S's of anti-racist education, and they're 4 simple steps. Not simple, actually.
Did she just say that she just came up with the basis of this presentation at 5 in the morning?
She did.
Okay.
The opposite of simple, but they're simple to remember. 4 steps that you can take to begin your anti-racist education. So the first S stands for show up. And this means physically, mentally, and emotionally. So the very thrust of the book, White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, is that white people have a really tough time handling their feelings about racism.
No.
She has a really hard time handling her feelings about racism.
Her personal racism, exactly.
No. I feel just fine about my feelings about racism. I feel peachy keen about my feelings about racism because I'm not a racist.
And when they are confronted with an understanding of their own racist worldview, the number of responses that they have range from defensiveness to emotional fragility, where they shut down.
If you are white and you don't admit that you are a racist, you are just being defensive. That is your white fragility showing.
And cry, to wanting to withdraw from the world, to pretending that they didn't hear this at all. It's a huge range of responses to be.
I wonder where I fall on the range of response when I just get on the internet and do a whole entire YouTube live stream about how this woman's a racist. I wonder where that falls on the impression hierarchy.
Being confronted with our own racist worldview. And I think especially now, in a moment of racial revolution, it would be very easy for many white people to just be like, this is too much. I
think Carlin was drinking on this one too. That's what it is. Didn't she point to a beer that she was drinking earlier?
Yo, I'm sorry, man. Like, I know you're sober, but I can't watch this shit without drinking. So
no shit, man.
I do not blame
I don't either, man.
Withdrawing. I'm not.
No, what we're doing is saying this is stupid and we don't agree with you.
Reading anything else. But at the panel a few weeks ago, Julian Maduro spoke about this, and she said, it's not our burden, and she means people of color. It's not our burden alone to know the racist things that happen. Take yourself out of that nameless crowd. Become actively anti-racist. That's the only way to make change.
Well, okay, so hang on. Someone said I was getting canceled from YouTube. Brother Tree 1 says, careful, Carlin, you might get canceled from YouTube. Dude, this is all the more reason to join my locals. I have several local members here in the chat. They can tell you how awesome my locals is. I will put the link to my locals in the chat, because if I ever do get canceled from YouTube, you can always find me on locals.
All right, I pause real quick.
That's not a bad idea, though, about locals.
Well, yeah, I get that with the local things, but what the redheaded bitch said, like, before is you have to conform to this anti-racist standard, or else you are a racist. Like you're just a horrible human being, and that is where this is the cult ideology. That's where it stems from, right? You believe this, or else you are a horrible person.
Right, you'll be outcast.
That is what she's trying to say.
Yes.
Like there is no in between. There is no opposition. I've said this a billion times before that, like, if you actually want to fight the woke, be prepared to just be smeared as every fucking bad word you can possibly say, and this person's admitting it because they're just saying, we are woke, we are right, our religion is correct, and if you disagree with us, you're problematic and you are a racist and you are the worst scum of the earth.
Yeah, the best response you can have at church.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of get like this whole thing's going on, and like James Lindsay was doing some tweets with people that were woke. He was just replying to them like, your mom, right? Instead of addressing them seriously. Like, but he was doing it for a reason. He was just saying like, I know there's like nothing I can tell them. There's nothing I can say that is actually going to get you to engage responsibly with the idea that you're trying to convey. So I'm just going to say your mom. Great response.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's why my response that you're a racist is sure, Jan.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing, right? Like, what we're doing is we're belittling their argument to the point where we're not going to take it seriously.
Well, that's
and
all
that
it
is
deserves.
that is actually the best thing you can do.
Yep.
Because to take it seriously and try to engage it seriously, you can't win. You will not win that. All you're going to do is they're going to go down.
So when I show up, I mean,
call you a fucking
you
racist.
need to work through those.
Sorry about that.
Well, I just said if you try to engage them on their level seriously and like try to like inject rational thoughts and facts into the argument, they're not going to do that. They're just going to belittle you as a fucking racist. So don't try. Right? Don't even try. Just say your mom. Like, this is dumb. You're a fucking idiot. Like, that is the best response. The best response is going down to the level of your mom jokes to respond to this bullshit.
Well, and the deal is that, you know, what I've discovered and something that's been enlightened me in this past like couple of months. I've been doing this stuff about communism, all this, and this show, is that comedy is the only weapon that's really effective against this kind of insanity.
Yes.
You know,
which is what we try to do.
Exactly. So yeah, the OnlyFans thing. Do you have an OnlyFans, Excel, by the way? For all the girls out there?
Well, I do, but I'm not going to share it with you guys.
Oh, come on. Give me the remote. Come on, dude.
No, that's my side hustle, man.
It's really just pictures of his base. Never mind, guys.
Oh, dude. Don't want to go there.
It's me playing bass naked. Every video.
La 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 la.
That's right.
No, it's more slap. It's more slapping part. It's like,
yeah, doing that funk shit. That's right. Look like flea naked.
Where my dick is just hanging out.
That's right.
I make a lot of money off of that. Don't make fun of me.
That's right. All right, we'll keep on rolling. Yeah, another failed utopia. That's right. Say Neil, FTW Neil said something. I thought, you see what happened to CHOP? They built a real wall of white people, keeping white people from entering certain areas. Sounds a lot like they are the racists. Well, that's the whole point. It's these white, white heroes, or whatever you want to call them, white knights, that champion this stuff. I mean, it's their inherent racism is obvious, and their deal is that your subjective reality is not my reality, right? So that means that you've got your truth. Of course, you've got your truth. I've got my truth, but there's the truth. Right?
It really is actually fucking amazing how I guarantee this bitch grew up in like an upper middle class white family. It's pretty amazing how all these white woke bitches like Robin DiAngelo, they're all like upper class white women.
Yes, they are. They're nothing but upper class white women.
Right.
Who think they're really fucking important.
Well, and Fat Andy said something earlier I'm not going to repeat, but he was spot on, brother. He's talking about the ass is for suck. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we'll keep rolling with her 4 asses that she just came up with at 5:45 in the morning, which astounded Carlin. She loved that.
His feelings
Well, you know,
and
it's
show
putting
up
in extra effort.
again and again
Yes.
and again, which means you need to fight the natural instinct to withdraw because you're super scared of making a mistake. Be present in this moment. Do not lean away from this moment. The deaths of Black and brown individuals over the past few weeks, not to
Black and brown individuals are counting on you to admit your inherent racism as a racist white lady.
mention for 400 years in this country's history. The deaths as a result of deep systemic oppression and racism is painful to reckon with. It is painful to reckon as white people with our complicity in those deaths, our complicity in the systems that made those deaths possible. Do not lean away from that. Do not withdraw from that. It is our responsibility as white people to bear witness.
Look at the furrowed brow, guys. Look at the furrowed brow. This is like, I am going to be very disappointed in you if you do
Listen
not
to
admit
the religious
your
language
inherent
is what I
racism.
need to hear.
Mother
Yeah.
Bear witness.
will be mad at you.
To what is happening and to show up again and again and again. So if that means physically, that means you are going to rallies. It means you are attending the webinars. It means you are going to the lectures. Mentally, it means that you are dialed in. It means that you are taking these things in, you are thinking about them, you are mulling over these concepts, you are having the conversations with your family members. And is the last one. Show up emotionally. I just finished talking about all of the incredibly painful and uncomfortable feelings that have come up.
Well, actually, guys, we are showing up and doing the work. Congratulations to us. We are not racist anymore. We are showing up and doing the work. We are watching this webinar. We are here. We are paying attention. We are thinking about the concepts that she's articulating. We have all done our work for today. Congratulations. You are no longer racist.
For me, certainly, over the past 45 days. And honestly, quite frankly, for much, much, much longer. But you have to show up and bear witness to that emotion, right? You have to make space for that emotion. Because if you do not feel it, it's a sign you're withdrawing from anti-racist work. So show up.
Yes, and I'm going to completely
physically,
continue to
mentally,
withdraw.
and emotionally. The second S is shut up and listen. And that means recenter yourself.
My God.
White people need to sit back and shut up right now.
This is what happened to me. This is what happened to me when all of my friends went crazy. All of a sudden, one day, all at the same time, they just started saying, Carlin, shut up and listen to Black people. I was like, what are you talking about?
And that's very hard, right? In many ways, because if we are just kind of waking up to our own.
Yeah, says the girl running the webinar. Exactly, Monica. Like the white lady, the white racist lady who denied Black and brown people going into the Black and brown community right next door to them is telling people on the webinar to shut up as she's running the webinar. Exactly.
And running her mouth.
There's kind of this inherent need to talk that out or process it or say where we are or talk about all of these things. It is not our time right now to be centering our own anti-racist endeavors.
Any
irony is that people
listen, like guys, just as a general rule, if anyone is ever telling you to shut up, to not express yourself, you have to stop listening to that person immediately. Expression is a gift that we have all been given from God, purely by the virtue of being here. Anyone who tells you to shut up in any circumstance is not someone that is worth being listened to. And I'm guilty, or I'm listening. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna pause this real quick, Irene. All right, so what Carlin just said, like, she makes a point, like, you know, it's a gift from God, but I'm an atheist. Like, I don't think it's a gift from God. But what I do believe is that there is nothing about inherently by anybody else's race or color ideas that they can present that I cannot criticize and evaluate for what they are and try to determine how they actually affect reality. And this is one of the biggest problems I have with critical race theory. Because just like they said, they're like, shut up if you're a white person. You need to just believe black people, right? It's just kind of like believe women, right? Believe people of color. And no, the answer is no. Like just because of the color of your skin, I am so not racist, which apparently this redheaded bitch from the University of New Hampshire will disagree with. I am so not racist that I will evaluate ideas, propositions based on what they are and how they reflect reality, and I will evaluate them individually, and I don't care who they come from.
Well, you know, it was like, you know, it's like, but that didn't mean anything because you saw what happened to Bill Burr.
Oh, no, it doesn't. So it doesn't mean anything in the way that critical race theory treats people and how I would be blackballed for having the opinions that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the correct way to look at things. Like, the problem is like, the shit is inversing the correct way to evaluate problems.
Right.
And when that happens, you also inverse the correct way to solve problems.
Yeah, that's my problem.
There's no solution to real problems whenever you look at the world the way that this bitch is looking at the world through.
It's a little mental illness. Crazy.
A lot of mental illness.
Of color, Black people and people of color have been talking about their lived experience as long as there have been oral histories, 400 years certainly at least, in this country's history. And so if you all of a sudden just woke up and realized that Black scholars and activists are on Instagram and are saying the things that you have not been hearing up.
You need to go on Instagram and listen to Black. Shut up and go on Instagram and listen to Black scholars.
Until now, you need to make space for their voices.
Why do you hate Thomas Sowell?
Validate and recognize.
In McWhorter, man, you know, it's
he's not the only one. He's the most famous one. But I'm just like, I would ask her, why do you hate Thomas Sowell?
Yeah,
he's Black.
I want to ask her, does she know?
Why are his lived experiences less important than the lived experiences that you agree with?
It doesn't make sense.
I want to ask her if she even knows or understands the words coming out of her own fucking mouth.
Right.
That's what I want to know. Because I don't know how you can be damn stupid.
Yeah, Uzi would say
look, we've actually already talked about this. The reason this woman is in the position she is because she is fitting the premise of the ideas that she needs to speak. Right? Like it's exactly like what we talked about with like the grievance studies nonsense that James Lindsay and Helen Pluckers did. Right? As long as you start with a premise that proves the point for this critical nonsense, you get away with it. It's fine.
Nice. The lived experiences of Black people and people of color as salient, relevant, and important.
You know, I had a conversation with a leftist earlier today, and he like live streamed it to YouTube. So I'm sure, or not YouTube, to LinkedIn, which I'm sure I'm going to be getting a mountain ton of crap for. But he was talking about this. He was like, you know, leftists, we understand how to shut up and listen to the experiences of Black and brown people. We understand empathy. We understand listening to those experiences. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I remember when Walk Away did that rally in Chicago, and the vast majority of our speakers were Black, and we were protested by Black Lives Matter, who were almost entirely white, and they were literally standing there beating drums and having all sorts of noisemakers to literally drown out the voices of the Black speakers at our rallies. So when they say shut up and listen to Black people, they never mean all Black people. They only mean Black people that agree with them. And when it comes to Black people who disagree with them, like my friend Shamika Michelle, Like, they don't want her talking. They don't want to listen to her. They have actively tried to drown out her voices. I've seen it happen so many times. Like, people like Shamika Michelle are incredibly dangerous to people like this because they are black people who are not towing this line, and they are saying, like, you guys are really the racists in this scenario.
I love how Carlin just explained, what do you think about Thomas Sowell? She just said it. That's what they think. They're Uncle Toms. They're white adjacent. They're not really black, which is way more racist than anything this redhead is going to say about racism.
And guys, if you don't follow Shamika, follow Shamika. Shamika's awesome. She's the best.
Your own opinions right now, as white people, do not matter, quite frankly. You have not...
The opinions of white people do not matter. Your opinions do not matter. Then why are you giving the webinar? Why is it that anti-racist trainers are always white, except for Ibram X. Kendi? Like, why is it these white anti-racist training people that are always like, your voice, your opinions don't matter, but ours do? We're literally giving the webinar. The Legion of Reason says subjective interpretations of lived experience are not evidence for objective claims. Well, here's where I'm going to give my little lecture, guys. Like, I actually have, my entire dissertation is based on lived experiences, right? But there is actually a way to measure and analyze lived experiences that do make it a really scientific process. It's an extremely labor-intensive process. And one of the things that really pisses me off, I spent like years working on my dissertation to be able to do this. These people ruin that course of study. There is very valid reasons you want to do a qualitative form of inquiry, but like when they take lived experiences, they've changed the term so that it becomes pretty much meaningless. That's one of the reasons they piss me off. What's painful are those earrings. I don't disagree, Alexander.
Experienced racism. You represent the oppressor. So do not for one hot minute think that your voice or your journey or your story outweighs the experience of people who have actually experienced racism. Do not presume you know better. Do not presume even that you know different. That's a tough one, right? Because it is coming from a place for many of us of good intentions, but it's not about your good intent and it's not about your questions. Just because you woke up and all of a sudden you're ready to do the work doesn't mean that Black people are now your personal therapist, your personal Google, any of the above. A former...
Why would you ever treat Black people like they're your own personal Google? Why would you do that, racist white lady?
Yeah, that's obviously some kind of script shit that she got from Robin DiAngelo. Right. That woman didn't come up with that herself.
A colleague of mine did an Instagram post the other day, and he was like, welcome to the party. I'm glad you're here. The party's been going on for a long time, right? So it's not our job to borrow that metaphor to show up and talk about how great the party is, right? We've been missing the boat for a very long time as white people. So just show up and dig in and stop making it about ourselves. There is an app that exists called Your Black Friends Are Busy. Check it out. It is a comprehensive list of resources that if you...
If anyone wants to download that app and tell me what's on that app, that would be great. But don't feel obligated because I don't want that shit on my phone.
Yo, I pause real quick. So... part of the reason I'm sitting here laughing and I'm frustrated about what this chick is keeps saying is on my Twitter account, I just sit there and I try to adhere to Poe's law for wokeness, right? I just make up shit that I think woke people would say. And this chick is going well beyond anything I could possibly make up in my fantasies.
It's amazing.
It is that ridiculous that even me trying to satirically be woke, I cannot be as woke as this person.
Right on. Right on, man.
Want to know more about the history of race and racism in this country, you can read. It centers the voice of people of color and Black people. So shut up and listen. Listen to those voices that have been telling you all of the information you need to know.
Dude.
The third S is support. And that means financial, probably one of the biggest, but also emotional and mental. So there is a huge racial wealth gap in this country. The median income for a Black family is 1/10 1/10 of the median income for a white family in this country.
Financial doesn't start with the letter S, does it? I thought you said 4 S's. I'm confused.
So what does she want us to do about, like, does she want us to just give black people money willy-nilly? I mean, honestly, and I'm actually not, okay, I know this is not, this is one of my controversial opinions that a lot of you guys don't agree with. I am actually not completely opposed to reparations if they are done in a way that makes investments into things that are going to lift up underprivileged communities for the long term. I actually think that Trump missed a really big boat by not labeling his platinum plan as reparations, because frankly, it was like a branding exercise. I'm not in favor of direct cash payments, but if we make investments into things that are long-term going to benefit underserved communities, I'm actually totally on board with that, and I think you can label them reparations. But like, what else do you want people to do? Like, I know there are these Facebook groups where literally it's like white people who feel guilty like this, like just giving money to black people. Like they said, like, I need to make rent, and like the white person's like, here, have my money. Like, is that the solution to racism? Okay, so I paid someone's rent for the month. Have we fixed racism yet?
And that is because of slavery. It is because
Irene, I have a question to you. What happens to most people that win the lottery?
What, they end up dying, actually. What else?
Dying or bankrupt, right?
Both. Sometimes.
Turns out that just handing money out to people, it does not solve anything.
But they want it. Who are you to deny people that?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. If they want it, we should just give it to them. And
Yeah,
then
of
whenever it
course.
doesn't have the effect of lifting millions of black people
Denying
out of poverty,
them is
like they
not
said it
nice.
would,
That's not nice.
Then that's it. Obviously, we did it wrong if we just give them money. So, no, I get what Carlin's trying to say with like we should.
Well, I mean, look at the Jews.
To actually growing things, but she's still missing. Like, this is one thing where she's like missing the economic reality where there's nothing you can do to get the effect that they're trying to get. Like, literally nothing.
Well, all right. So the Jews were the descendants of slaves. They were enslaved by the Egyptians, and some people. So what is this? The descendant of Africans who enslaved. I don't know. Do you think that they owe reparations to Jewish people?
Maybe they owe reparations to the
none
Slavs.
of that matters.
That maybe we should address the elephant in the room of Slavic, the Slavs.
Yeah, slave. Yeah.
Okay.
The reality is that there's no amount of money that you can like inject to people now that is going to solve some injustice in the past. It doesn't exist. It will not happen. It will not fix anything. We have tons of information from economists as to why this will not work. And the only people that are trying to push reparations are not economists.
Right.
No, they aren't. They're idiots. They're total and complete idiots.
Indeed. All right. Well,
Black people and people of color spent much of our country's history as cogs in the wheel of our own white economic gain.
This person grew up in Maine, where there was never slavery.
Thank you.
And so how do you interrupt that? How do you make amends for that? So one of the biggest things that you can do is, if you have the means, be financially supportive. Set up a monthly recurring donation. That is not a hard thing to do. Set up a monthly recurring donation to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. The Loveland Foundation is an unbelievable nonprofit started by scholar Rachel Cargill that provides.
You know, I mean, the irony here is, like, I'm actually not opposed to making donations to causes you believe in. I'm not at all. But, like, how many people are going to be turned off from donating to these causes specifically because a racist white lady told them to?
Mental health counseling services to Black women and girls. Support the ACLU, National Bail Fund.
No! don't support
No.
the ACLU. No.
Don't support international or national bail funds either. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. If you are donating to the ACLU, you need to stop right now. I'm listening says, can we listen to Thomas Sowell, Candace Owens, Larry Elder, Colonel Ellen West? Will they be in the list in that app? I think that's a very good question. Someone should download that app and tell us.
Matter. Support the Institute for Recruitment of Teachers. We've been doing the work of getting of moving the needle of the racial makeup of teachers and professors in this country for 30 years.
God, no.
It doesn't matter what it
Tech Priest Fisher here says, I will gladly accept any white person's I'm not in our donations for research into alcohol.
is.
You guys can all PayPal Tech Priest Fisher right now.
Reoccurring donation. Because these organizations need to be able to count on your patronage.
No,
and
they
also
don't.
recognize that support is also emotional and mental as well. I wrote an article called 5 Ways to Support Your Colleagues of Color right now. Your Black colleagues, excuse me, but also your colleagues of color. Offer that support if you are in a position to. Check in on your friends.
So why don't you talk about what's in the article rather than just saying, I wrote an article about how to support your colleagues of color?
Friends, show your support. Recognize the moment we're in, right?
Okay, so the 3 S's I've got so far are show up, which is essentially like come to my webinar, shut up and listen, which is come to my webinar and don't question what I'm saying, and pay them money. Those are the 3 things, like support through financial means, pay them money. That's it. Show up, watch a webinar, shut up and listen, don't question what I'm saying, pay them money. Have we cured racism yet? I'll make a donation to the NAACP right now if someone can tell me that we've cured racism and we can just stop now.
We're in a moment of racial revolution. Don't pretend everything's just copacetic right now. It's not. So show up. Lend your support emotionally and mentally to your friends and the people of color that you love in your life. The last one, which is probably the hardest one, or not the hardest one, the most long-term one.
I want to pause real quick.
Is school yourself.
How is that different than showing up?
What they just said about donating money to the NAACP to stop racism, that's all great stuff. Like, I actually think everybody here is like, we're against racism, of course, right? The problem here is that they are redefining racism in a way that we can never solve it.
Yeah. And that's intentional.
And that is the biggest problem with critical theory. Because I'm all about, like, let's stop racism. Yes, that's a great cause. Like, I'm not an asshole. Like, we're not sitting here being like, oh, we're doing this stream because we love racism. We want to keep going. We're doing this stream because we're like, this definition of racism is bullshit. And that is not what racism actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. That's I mean, that's all I really had to say. It's like, it's obvious to anybody watching, right? None of us here are like, we are pro-racism. We are just arguing against this critical theory bullshit that is redefining racism to put race into places where it does not belong.
Okay, I need to ask some people in the chat. Is it not showing the little $sign square?
No, I don't see a super chat icon.
You don't?
I do.
Well, see, I do too.
Weird. Yeah, I don't see a little cash thing for a super chat icon. I can't super chat.
It's because you're probably using Brave. I bet you.
Oh.
You know, you bet.
Oh, I bet, because
Yeah.
fuck Google.
Yeah, because Google's like, you got to use our shit.
Oh, fuck Google.
You know. Oh, well, it's 5 from Accelerate. Thank you, man.
That was just test dollar monies.
Well, I'm not giving it back.
All right, great. Don't.
Oh, you know what, Jeff? It might not have liked the word you put into the super chat. They've gotten really picky about what you're allowed to say on super chats now. I've seen tons of people, especially on like Hard Bastard, there'll be all kinds of stuff that just can't be said.
True story.
So, I know they like to push that agenda. Sorry.
Right. She's right.
I'm sorry, dude.
But if you, thanks, Becca, $4.99. Thank you. What's not working is my goddamn alert box, because it should be alerting me right now.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it should be.
Yep.
Oh, and Ryan, thank you. Ryan himself says, check. Read Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson.
Ah, thank you. Thank you very much. So obviously the super chat's working, and Streamlabs worked earlier, so that's it should be okay. I don't know.
It could just be me because I don't use the super chat. I've only ever used Streamlabs. I refuse to use Google Super Chat.
Hmm.
I ain't giving them 30% anything.
But yeah, and they do take 30%. That's true. I know Slabs is more of a hassle, but it's easier to use, and they do take PayPal. So. And,
Yeah.
and you know, like and subscribe and share, because this stuff is just really fun. Getting an aneurysm is a blast. Right?
Good times.
Sometimes a lobotomy is the only solution. So, all right, we'll keep rolling with this thing. Sorry about the squirrel. Squirrel number 2.
Okay, now I completely understand why she said I made these up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, school yourself and show up are exactly the same.
That means do the work.
How is that different than showing up?
You bought the books? Congrats. Now you have to read the books.
Oh,
you've downloaded all the
thank
podcasts.
God.
Congrats. Now you have to listen to the podcast.
How is that different than showing up?
If you do not know something about the history of race and racism, and believe me, there's a lot that you don't know, it is not the burden of Black people and people of color to educate white people about racism.
What?
So go and do the work. Do what it takes to educate yourself.
Wait, hold on. I agree.
There was a recent article that came out.
They all have this.
Agree. Hold on. I totally agree with her. It is not the burden of Black people to educate white people on the history of racism. It is actually the burden of just people that study history to objectively understand history and educate everybody on what the history is.
Right.
It's that simple. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Right?
Well, I want to know how you're supposed to learn somebody's perspective without them telling you what their perspective is.
Oh yeah, that point is well, it's actually not even that. Like, their perspective is irrelevant to the actual facts around the history. And that is something you will learn from universal liberalism, which these people are going to discredit. Like, I mean, they do, right? You can't possibly understand the history of racism unless you're Black. Even if it had nothing to do with your upbringing.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe not. Never mind. I'm not even going to get myself in trouble. I'm not.
Yeah, I know. Like, this window got wide open for Susan to just be like, irate, you're done.
Hey, man, don't joke. Don't tempt fate. Just saying. We like Susan Bajiski. She's awesome. She's been so nice to me, and I really owe her. And I'm paying this debt. I'm paying it to her, showing this kind of stuff, because
30%.
we're helping people. That's right.
30%.
That 30%, man. That's her content too, then, huh? Just saying. All right, keep going.
Yes, please.
Same look when they're like, it's just like, it's this smug, like looking down of the nose. It's like all the same, always with the furrowed brow. We got the furrowed brow again.
Out by Vulture's Lauren Michelle Jackson, which talked about anti-racism as a vanity project, where the goal is no longer to learn more about race, power, and capital, but to spring closer to the enlightened order of the anti-racist. And that's what I talked about when I say anti-racism is not about you.
I love how she
It is
put
about
capital
the
in there.
liberation from oppression for Black and Brown people. So a way to continue to move towards that goal is to school yourself and do the work. For me, when I started my own anti-racist journey, for lack of a better term, and I hate that term because it's very kind of new agey to describe something that I should have been doing my entire life. Okay,
Artis here, Artra, sorry, has given us a little bit more information about this app. The preview for the app seems to be a BLM resource aggregation feed with articles about Black issues, places to send money to Black people, videos of Black issues. All right, so nonsense, essentially.
Oh, sweet,
it's nonsense,
Ryan.
is what it is. I'm listening.
Hey,
one of the
what's going
5
on?
things she wrote about was know when you are virtue signaling. Is that real? Did you go look up that article? Did she? Please let that be real.
I started this several years ago. I'm a very type A person and I like checking off lists. So for me, when I started out, I committed to reading 2 books a month that were either by Black scholars or were about the history of race and racism in this country, or were about critical theory. I have a lineup every single week of 5 podcasts that I listen to that specifically address social justice and issues of race and racism. I listen to them every week. And then I try to commit to reading an article, at least 1 article every single day, that is about social justice or racial equity. These are very tangible
I am constantly doing the work to keep myself brainwashed.
steps that I take to school myself every single day to make sure that I am engaged continuously in this work. And maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. By the way, after this webinar, you'll get a list of resources that I've put together that have recommendations for podcasts and documentaries and things that you can watch to get started. But for me, that was a really great way to fold it into my life, right? Because I think a lot of people get so overwhelmed by what they don't know that they don't know how to take on this self-study in a sustainable way. And you're not going to learn the history of race and racism in the next 3 months. You're just not.
It is a lifelong process. Doing the work is a lifelong process of self-flagellation.
Hey, Ray, this is a great
I don't know
place
it.
to pause. It's a great place to pause because everything she just said, it sounded so much like you just joined this come to Jesus moment cult. Like it's insane. And plus we have Ryan himself here.
Hey, Robin DiAngelo's real name is Taylor.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you serious? She has a man's name?
I mean,
It was her. All right, so her dad.
I think it goes both ways.
Right. She took her mother's maiden name, and her mother became a nun. And she's one of those radicalized. No, dude, we're talking like far lefty kinds of Catholics. Okay. And her Jewish father, divorced her mom when she was little, and she grew up just hating on people. You know,
this chick's not much different though. Like she's very similar to that. It's really crazy how she's coming to all these conclusions, which is
well, she just got done reading the book.
Laughable.
And it's obvious.
Right.
She read the book and listened to the proper podcast. You have a super chat, by the way. I know your ox isn't coming up.
Jeff Hewitt, thank you, sir. The Black community is dysfunctional because they have an average IQ of 1 of 85. This isn't due to racism, but due to inequality in extraordinary and evolutionary history. Excuse me. They profit off of denying this truth.
Yeah, I'll make a few comments on this. Not to address it directly, but the issue is people like me, right, where I judge everybody as an individual. I actually just find it interesting whenever you do group statistics, right? However you're going to divide the group. And in fact, you can divide groups by any measure you want, and you're going to find these crazy disparities. And at the end of the day, I don't care. That's not a way that we should design policy. It's not a way we should think of the world. And that is why this redheaded bitch is completely wrong on about everything, because it's not how the world actually works.
Right.
It's complete fiat. She's just making it up as she goes.
Dude, it's pretty funny that you can't say black and IQ in the same super chat, though.
That's what was keeping it in block.
Yeah, that's it. That has to be it.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that really does suck, though, right? So I can sit there and look at people like Jean-Francois Guerpi and agree that these stats mean exactly what they mean, but also say they don't mean anything when it comes to how you should design society or public policy or anything like that. There's a giant disconnect there, and I think that the only two power structures that work are just saying, one, that the measures of IQ are just racist, right?
Well,
because
but people won't see. Hold on now, accelerate. People won't see people that look like them in positions of power if you did that shit. Some people.
No, I get that, but what I was trying to say is there's two ways you can take, or there's two bad ways to take that information. One, be this redhead bitch and say, that information is racist and it is wrong. The other way to take it that is bad is to say that information is accurate and we should design policy be around race, right? The in-between is the people like us that are doing these streams, which is we don't want either of those things to happen.
All right, Jeff donates some $4.99. Mr. Jeff, thank you. You're awesome. Well, we design policy around average income and crime rates, which are both directly correlated to IQ. Not wrong?
I actually don't like that direction for policy to begin with. So,
well, yeah, but
I think I'm exempt from what you're insinuating.
You're distancing yourself from it? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, you still have to live under the same policy or live under the same policies. Now, we aren't talking about the validity of it. We're talking about the reality that we are expected to use these ideas such as IQ or crime rate or average income to direct policy, but now we're going to ignore the things we've been doing for the last 200 years to create new policy, and we aren't even going to do it on a legislative level so people have a say. We're just going to bully them into it. It is a big problem.
Yeah, they're actually skipping a lot of shit.
Yeah, a lot of really important shit.
FTW nil at me. The entire premise relies on the basis that the parties at one time switched.
But they never did.
No,
they
actually
did. No, they never did. By the numbers, you cannot prove the Southern strategy ever existed. You cannot. You can't. All you can say is that the air quote racists of the Dixiecrats died off, and they didn't. Well, they did, but
switched is actually like really a really fucking stupid way of looking at it. They didn't switch. It's that both parties that got power, they actually all decided that they're going to consolidate government power together, right? They agreed that we want more government power, and that expanded. They never switched.
No, the parties never switched. The premises of both parties never switched. Democrats, even when they were Whigs, were still authoritarians. And Republicans, even when they were, oh, I can't remember the name of the party now. I think they were just called conservatives.
No, it was the Republican Party, right? Like, so, like, in the 30s and 40s, the Republican Party was incredibly libertarian. What changed is that the Republican Party eventually gathered, like, the Christian conservative movement into it. It gathered a whole bunch of other movements into it, which were antithetical to what the Republican Party was doing beforehand, and it became the Republican Party, right?
Explain that again, because I couldn't understand what the movements were you were talking about. It like cut out.
Yeah, what I was talking about is, so the Republican Party, right, before, like, in the Barry Goldwater era, right, it was very libertarian. In the Reagan area, what they did is they captured the Christian conservative movement, which was way less Republican than the Republican Party used to be when it came to individual freedoms and whatnot. And it did switch kind of for a little bit. And then also you had an issue where the neocons, which were Democrats, joined the Republican Party for the simple fact that they believed in the perpetual war narrative. So, like,
later, Dark
and that's where they got their name too. That's why they called them neocons.
Yeah, the answer is like the party's changed over the years because it's complicated. But it wasn't about fucking race or anything like that.
But the parties haven't changed. I'm talking all the way from Lincoln
in the
to
period
Trump. The Republican Party has always been the premise of the most freedom for the most people, full stop.
Well, they're acting like cucks for the last
I would actually argue
15 years.
I would actually argue against that and say
as a
that
party.
They have been they were terrible in the 90s and early 2000s.
Okay, in the 90s and early 2000s.
It just got better, funny enough, under Trump.
Okay, you're talking about a total of 12 years over almost 200 years of the party.
Yep, I am not necessarily like disagreeing with you. I will say though that like it's very important to point out that what happened in the 2000s and early 90s with the Republican Party is part of why the Republican Party got a bad name. It was certainly the theocratic party.
It wasn't
There's no.
No, it wasn't. Okay, we had
in the 90s and 2000s is
one
not the
fucking
theocratic
president,
party.
one fucking Republican president that went full blown. Yes, we're going to listen to the Bakers and the Immaculate 12. One fucking president. One. Yeah, that did not destroy the whole Republican Party because very little of the actual Republican Party supported the Christian conservative movement. They just shut their fucking mouths and waited for them to get over themselves. That's literally what happened. If you look at the premise, okay, if you look not just at the people that were leading, but if you look at the people within the Republican Party at the time, there was a very small but vocal group of people, and honestly, they were the ones that, yes, they made a bad name, but it was literally 8 years. It was 8 years, and the Democrats are just trying to beat on the trope like they're trying to pretend that the Southern strategy was real. These are things that didn't actually happen the way you're saying they did. I know because I was alive and living through them under Democrat parents at the time.
I know about this. Like, the Southern strategy shit is complete bullshit. I agree with you. I was just talking about the movement between people that were, like, let's be real, right? Why people change political parties is like a power strategy. That's it.
No.
And there was a power strategy.
Who are these people?
The Republican Party.
Who are these people you're talking about? Because at the time that the Republicans got taken over by the Christian conservatives, or the Immaculate 12, as I call them, the Independent Party tripled in size. So I'm not sure they switched to Democrat.
Well, I think that led to Ross Perot.
I have no real desire to defend the Republican Party for anything that they've done, nor would I defend the Democratic Party. I do think that And I've
I'll
said this
defend the
before.
Republican Party any day. Those people were willing to die and get hung next to black folk to give them freedom. I will defend
Be it
Republicans
back in the
all
day.
day long.
But don't you think that they've all fused into one fucking just cancerous blob of fat, just adipose
I'm not
tissue?
talking about the people
Just,
in control. I'm talking about
My problem is the Marco Rubios and the Bushes of the world.
Okay, and I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the actual people within these parties.
Yeah, you're talking about the people, the members, not the politicians.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's where I go
People that
back
vote
to where
that
I
way,
think
yes.
The MAGA movement actually kind of united a lot of loose coalitions of people, which are like you would have your traditional conservatives and a lot of libertarians. They just decided that, like, yep, we're going to go under the stint for MAGA because it is a better place to be than any other option we have.
MAGA is a libertarian movement. It's pure and simple because it's not based on any kind of identity politics. It's based on prosperity, and everything the libertarians do is based on prosperity. Historic.
It's conducive to libertarians without, like, you know, the hardcore libertarians. They want things like like no government. Some of them want open borders, but
extremes, dude. I haven't been talking extremes the whole time.
no, you're not. Like we agree. Like I'm just gonna put this away. We agree with what's going on. The current Republican Party is the place to be. It is the only place that for ideas that I want, you want, probably Irate wants, but Ryan, probably you too. It's the only place that has any political influence. That
I've got my criticisms also, but yeah.
Oh no, I've got criticisms, but I'm saying over time, ideologically, the Republican Party hasn't really ever changed as a party. Now, they did have an 8-year out of 180 years stint where they got retarded, and they let the Bushes take control of anything. But the Republican... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff, for $9.99, thanks again. I think more relevant dichotomy is between neocons and pale icons. Neocons and neoliberals are on the same team. Popularly referred to as the swamp. Yeah, exactly, that's what I was referring to. Adipose tissue.
Not wrong.
MAGA is a paleo-conservative movement. Indeed.
Because
MAGA was explicitly anti-neocon.
Well, it is also the
Explicitly.
concept of conserving as much liberty as physically possible.
Right.
And that's what makes an American conservative different than a European conservative.
Yep, we've actually had that conversation this time because conservatism in America is a lot different than other places because in America, what conservatism always was conserving liberty.
Yes.
I totally agree with you, Mr. Atheist Icon.
Yes. The current Republican Party is counterculture now, which is just bizarre because it's just regular mainstream culture. I don't understand how I have a family and they're very important to me and I'm proud of my country and I'm proud of my veteran son and all the veteran males in my family. I'm not abnormal. This is just normal shit. I grew up seeing everybody else be like this, but suddenly now that is counterculture and I don't understand it. I don't. It baffles me how that's counterculture now.
Culture sucks, dude. Popular culture sucks.
Is it even popular?
It's not as popular as they make it out to be, fortunately.
I mean, because like, if there's a whole lot of Wizard of Oz kind of shit going on right now.
For sure. No, in fact, I think it barely exists without all the help that it gets. I don't think that people actually vote for things like higher taxes or sending their fucking kids to shitty schools. They vote against the mean guys, the scary fucking the racist guys. You know what I mean? Or what they're told is, at least. But no, I don't think it's as popular as they make it out to be, and I don't think that I don't think that they I don't think that as many elections get won without the help of a lot of the things that we saw take place in 2020.
Yeah.
The fighting. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, I get kind of adamant about the Republican Party because I'm tired of the rewriting of history.
All right, hold on 1 second. All right, JP.
You also live in Oregon, so I totally understand.
Are you going to interrupt me? It's like I need to say something on my channel here. All right, Trap Vision and JP. I know you're the same person. I'm going to boot you if you don't get your shit together. All right, and quit fucking with people in my chat. All right. You got one shot. And if you want to shit on it, go for it, nigga.
I love you, all right?
I'm done with his bullshit. So carry on, people.
But I was just going to say, no, I'm adamant about protecting the history of the Republican Party because the Republican Party was the party of abolition. They were the party of no Jim Crow laws. They were the party of equal rights. They were the party... In 1868, the Republican Party put up the first piece of legislation to give Black Americans equal access to voting, guns, and prosperity. They did it within 2 years of the Civil War being ended. The Republican Party beat the drum for about 100 years before they won. And they were willing to die. They were willing to bleed. They were willing to sacrifice their things. And they did it all because they wanted equality, actual equality for everybody in the country. And I'm fucking sick to death of watching 700,000 Americans died fighting for what they keep saying was slavery. And it wasn't. It was states' rights. Slavery was just the convenient skin they wrapped it in. The slavery, Lee was a goddamn abolitionist, people. Okay?
Yeah, and Bedford Forrest died an abolitionist as well. It's funny that they would have you believe that the American Civil War was the only war in history that was ever fought for moral reasons as opposed to like money and tax reasons. Like if half the shit that they said was true, why did the Underground Railroad go all the way into Canada?
Hey,
They're
wow.
fucking ridiculous.
Check this out. We got $25 from Angry Man. Politics. I could talk a while about how the Republicans are self-defeating, a few weird ideas as to how to turn things more Christian, conservative. Want to chat in gaming server. I don't know who you are. So maybe for the after party, we'll hop over there if y'all want to. But appreciate the donation.
I'm gonna be over there
righteous
shortly
bro.
playing League of Legends. So
yeah.
Say that again.
I just said I'll be in gaming server very shortly to play League of Legends.
Oh.
Already promised it to him.
All right, so JP, if you're a good boy, all right, just here's the deal. I don't like people attacking my people in my chat. All right. I appreciate their patronage. I appreciate, I do this for them. And, so, y'all be nice to each other and shit. Okay. If you disagree with comportment, bring a valid argument, and
He meant he is in gaming server and would like on the stream. Well, okay, so I don't even know if we need to go more Christian conservative so much as we need to go American conservative in America. Christianity is it has a lot of good building blocks to live a good life and a fulfilling life. It has a lot of good information. And I do recommend, if you're looking for a religion, look at Christianity as a way to exercise your faith. It is far more liberating than most religions out there. However, I think that we need to focus on the aspect of equal access, because equal outcomes is a farce. So we need to focus on equal access, and we need to focus on
all right, so Moonbase Radio asks a question: is it gay to F your own clone? And Uzi and I had an extremely intense conversation about this. And
isn't that just masturbation?
I don't know. And is it gay? That's the question. So anyway, that's one to ponder, y'all.
I swear that's just masturbation.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
I know you would.
When are you ever going to get that chance ever again, right?
I couldn't stand my clone to be in the room long enough with it to do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding, but
I might shoot it. Does that count?
Dude, it would be fun to have like a 10-year fight with it.
I'm not arguing with myself. No, thank you.
Indeed. Well, it's getting close to the. I guess we need to either wrap it up or wrap it up.
I think we need to wrap it up.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking totally wrap up my DQ with a Burger King wrapper. So.
With what? I can barely hear you.
He's gonna wrap his DQ with a Burger King wrapper.
Yep.
Dairy Queen.
What does that mean?
He's gonna wrap his Dairy Queen in a Burger King wrapper.
What does that mean?
That sounds gayer than fucking your own clone, I'll tell you that.
Is that some veiled racist quote?
He's gonna have it his way.
Yep, totally racist.
Well, African Americans do prefer Burger King, man. I mean, it is. It's true. Every time. Anyway. And on that note, I'm getting tired, y'all. I don't know what the hell. Maybe I need some caffeine. Maybe.
Or a nap.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Nap time's like way too late for that shit.
Sorry, I'm typing loudly. I'll mute next time.
It's cool. All right, so Angry Man, I will need to meet you before I can let you on the channel because there's nefarious shit stirrers out there, and I need to vet you personally before I let you on. If you want your money back, I'll be glad to refund it to you. Okay. Because it's like that's just how I work, right? But I appreciate it anytime, anyway. And I do want to, foster discourse, but to be honest, I'm kind of past discourse personally, because I don't think it's going to do any good. I think people are dug in, and there's only a couple of solutions, and none of them are good. So, what do y'all think?
Well, I mean, fisticuffs could be fun.
Yeah, I'm just too
know.
old for this shit, man. I really am, man. I swear to God, it's like
I get it.
Yeah. Why is it asking me to put in a super chat? You don't super chat yourself. Is that masturbation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And on that
is
note,
absolutely.
All right. So everybody, let's start with the guest. Ryan, you want to show what you got coming up?
The next thing that we're going to be doing is on Wednesday, and it's going to be some more. We're going to continue with day 2 of the Waco Senate Judiciary hearings, which took place in 1995. Some familiar faces in there you might love to hate. You got your Chuck Schumers, you got your Zoe Lofgrens, you got your whatever that guy is.
Sheila Jackson Lee.
That's the one. Yeah. So we're going to be doing that on Wednesday on Insomnus. That'll be in the evening. And if you're interested in that, or you're passionate about documenting the timeline, I would implore you to type in insomnus.com/discord into your browser, and we'll see you on the other side.
Indeed. All right, Atema?
Well, y'all definitely need to be checking out Insomnus, because we're having really interesting conversations and looking at just how deeply they have rewritten the history of what actually happened at Waco. And it's actually kind of exposing how invasive the military has gotten into all of our law enforcement. It's kind of honestly alarming. I didn't realize how invasive it was till we started watching that, and then we started talking about Operation Green Sweep, and then we started talking about Ruby Ridge, and it was just kind of like, ein Minuten bitte. So really, you guys check out Insomnus. These guys are doing a really good job of going through stuff, and it's stuff that Ryan doesn't know. So he's learning about this stuff as we go with him.
Well, I know a lot about Waco. I just don't know about I don't know anything about Ruby Ridge or the Operation Green Triangle. Yeah.
Green Sweep. But I mean, but you're also finding out a lot of the history you didn't know. Like, there's cultural stuff going on at the time that you would have no idea. You weren't in that age group to know.
Well, yeah, I was a couple years younger, but I'm always going to be honest about the shit that I don't know. I'm not going to get on there and pretend like I know everything, because I mean, we're all just here to learn. So, I mean, if that's what you're down with, then check it out.
I totally agree with that.
And if you're not checking out Becca, that's on you, folks, because she's really, really good at giving you the news and being entertaining about it. And
that's true too.
I have to watch it on the replay, because a lot of times I'm arguing with a certain 13-year-old and I don't get to sit down and listen to nothing. But yeah, other than that, don't bother trying to go to my channel. I'm probably going to leave my YouTube channel dead, though I am going to try to figure out OBS sometime in the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to probably react to like TYT and all their subsidiaries. I'm going to do cold reactions to their bits. Their bits. But I'm going to do it on BitChute and Rumble so that I don't get copyright struck to hell. So.
All right, and Irate Prostate here. Sunday, tomorrow, I'm going to be talking with none other than Arthur Nix, aka Arthur the Hat. And coming up, got Drone Tech, Dave Lee Murphy, and Toya D, who is not nice at all. She's mean as a snake.
Right.
I'm telling you. So, and then Monday, Beck and I we got to reevaluate because we got yeeted. I don't know if y'all, you can't find Monday's show because it was yeeted. And we had to finish it on Twitch and DLive and Trova. So, if you got a Twitch membership, hook up my channel, man. And some of y'all maybe propagate over there. Like, I need at least 3 or 4 people to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, and on that note, fam, I'm going to say, let's get out of here, call it a day. I don't know where Excel went to, but God love him. I send him a big hug, and we'll roll. All right? Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Night, y'all.
Uh-huh.